So I have a friend who listens to the podcast, and after every episode, he sends me comments, an audio message. You know who you are. And recently he made the observation that every episode we make is about some kind of grief. And I don't think he's wrong. Today's episode's about rejection. And I think rejection is one of the worst kinds of grief we can face. It's like we went out into the world, it saw us clearly, and it told us we weren't good enough. Whether that comes through the mouth of our parents, of our best friends, of our teachers, or of an institution, when we face rejection, we think it is a judgment on who we are and what we can do. And we tend to then retreat, hide, fall back, and not try to do it again because of the fear of feeling that one more time. Today's guest, Katy, brings us a question about rejection and about the grief that comes from rejection and which can follow us for many years. I think this is a particularly important episode for all of us to think about and to consider in our own lives. Where are we dealing with rejection? Where are we still hiding? What gifts have we kept from the world? I'm Mauricio Bruce, and this is The Real Question. Hi, Katy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you here, and I'm very excited to get to talk to you. But as you know, before we get to the question that you've brought us, this show has a formula, and we start by asking you if there's anything you would like to tell us today. What would it be?
I would tell you that I'm a very DIY person.
Oh.
I grew up, my mom had a ton of art supplies around, and my dad is a carpenter and had a bunch of tools around. So I grew up kind of with the mentality of like, if I can't afford it and if I don't have it, like there's a way I can figure out a way to make it or approximate it. And I really love that about myself. And yeah, I just love making things.
I think that's an amazing quality. I think a lot of us have forgotten how to do things in the times we're living, because we can just go online and get one, order it. Or at least we're used to that sort of immediacy and quick satisfaction of the world. And so to be able to sit and build and create my own something, I think is probably really satisfying.
Oh, yeah. When I was in high school, I saw Amadeus for the first time, and I became so obsessed with it. It like took over my whole summer. And I spent that summer like making my room as like Baroque as possible, just with the stuff that my parents had in the garage. And that was really fun.
Before we begin, do you want to try and do the Amadeus laugh?
Oh my God, I can't. Tom Hulse is like...
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I have a bit of an Amadeus laugh myself. It'll come out.
All right. Thank you, Katy. I'm all ears now. What question did you bring us?
A question that I think will probably surprise no one is, should I give theater a second chance?
Well, you'll have to give us more context because I think everyone's surprised.
Well, I should say, should I give scripted theater a second chance?
Okay.
So I was one of those kids that just sort of rolled out and immediately wanted to be on stage. And so when I was 6, my mom put me into this like local neighborhood theater that did classes and performances for kids. And I just like immediately globbed onto that as my entire identity. And I did multiple shows a year from the time I was 6 to 17 or 18, when it was time to get really serious And it was no question that I was going to pursue it as a career.
Mm-hmm.
So then I applied to all these conservatories, these fancy conservatories, and all of these schools that my artistic director of this organization had coached me into. And I flew to Chicago and did all these auditions for all of them. And I was rejected by basically all of them. And had to do a really intense inventory of my life and my future and myself. I did get into one school that I wasn't as excited about, but at least I'd be able to study theater and at least I'd be able to be in the Northeast, which is like the most typical like college-y place to live. I'm from Texas and I'd been dreaming about that forever. So I was like, well, maybe I can kind of cobble together my kind of dream scenario out of some not so ideal bits and pieces. And I went for my freshman year and I came up against the same problems that I had had and the same frustrations and the same politics and issues that I had been faced with growing up in theater. And I just threw in the towel and transferred to a school in Texas to study English and art. And my idea was after I graduate, I'll go back to it, but this time I'll pivot and focus on comedy because I just apparently don't have a place in theater. Like I'm not enough of an archetype to fit into that world, and comedy will be more forgiving to me. So then I moved to New York. I did that, pursued comedy for a little while. The energy was really different than theater, but I got a lot of improv training. And then I moved back to Texas and I started doing improv much more in earnest here, but more as like a hobby. And now it has sort of existed. It's a big part of my life doing improv. And that sort of feeds that theater urge. I even do musical improv. I do narrative improv. I've been able to take these dream roles that I would never be cast in and improvise as them in a way, you know, which is like a kind of crazy reclaiming. But I have somehow found myself now working for a college theater department. And it's bringing up a lot.
Okay. Katy, I'm so sorry you got rejected by all those schools. That rejection is never fun. And it can really impact and change how we think of ourselves and in the ways that we put ourselves out there. So I just want to start by saying that. But you pivoted, you went for comedy, you got into improv, you made the best out of it. And so now you've started working at a college theater department and you're working with young kids who want to be actors and actresses and directors and be involved in theater. So walk me through what's happening there.
I really thought I was kind of like, this is behind me. My jealousies and weirdnesses about big institutional approval is kind of behind me. And then I got a taste of what institutional approval feels like, sort of at an angle as a staff member. And I saw and see how satisfying it is to collaborate and how supportive everyone is and how seriously everyone's artistry is taken and how they support each other in that. And as a very DIY person who works with some very like slapdash DIY productions, it's a totally different energy. Yeah. And I find myself sort of seeing a world that I feel like I've never really had access to. And it makes me really sad.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more. It makes me really sad because
I always wanted that. I always wanted mentors that I could trust.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like I'm surrounded by wonderful, trustworthy mentors. And it's really painful to feel like that really does exist. Because when I was doing theater at that little theater in Houston I grew up going to, there were some toxic dynamics between me and my mentors and me and my directors. And I think a lot of people would be able to relate. And so after that experience of working with mentors that felt really bad and then meeting all these new potential mentors that I auditioned for who were also like not interested, it felt like I was like, okay, I'm the only person that I can kind of trust moving forward. I can't really look to institutions to support me or my art or to see me in any way that feels good to me. And suddenly being in a space where it feels like, oh, maybe I would be seen and supported in this environment if I had been a student, just makes me feel like I've made mistakes.
Mm. So let me walk through that just for a second. Is what you're looking for a mentor?
I think in a way.
Okay. And I'm just saying this for my own clarity. Like it's not a yearning like I want to be in those plays. It's like I want to have a mentor like that.
I think it's both.
Okay.
Because I feel like I do want to be in those plays. And I know that because it's really, really hard for me to go to them. We have all these fall shows coming down the docket, and I have to like sit and really wrestle with myself to convince myself to go. It's really hard to be in the audience.
Because what do you feel when you're in the audience?
I feel like I want to like jump up and down and bite my seat and scream and punch the wall and run up on stage and spin around in circles. Like I feel like it makes me feel crazy. Like it feels like I'm having my desires waved in front of my face.
Mm. And there's just something that I'm searching for that hasn't been said, and I just want to check. It feels like I'm having my desires waved in front of my face and like I'm being told, not for you.
Yeah.
And keep going there for a second for me. Like, you don't deserve them. You're not good enough. What are the words?
I just didn't make the right choices.
Okay.
I must have made mistakes. I picked the wrong monologues. I moved to the wrong city. If this exists, and it would have been so good for me, if I didn't have it, it feels like I must have gone astray and I should have known more.
So it was your fault.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it feels like.
Because of my choices and because of the things that I did, I'm not going to be able to live my dream.
Yeah.
And so is the dream closed? Can you just see it from the outside? Is there no way in your mind?
Well, there is. And in some ways, I feel like, and thought I was, basically already living my dream. You know, like I perform so much. I have such an amazing community. Like I really have built for myself all of the things that I said I wanted and that I wanted in my life. But I feel like there's still something there because it's still so painful for me to be in that environment.
Yeah, so let's explore that for a second, Katy. I perform so much and I've built the dream, or I think I'm living my dream, and I think that's a big but.
I always feel like I never got enough time to be in a student-like position. I was the kind of kid that was always like assigned to be sort of like teacher's aide in some ways, you know, even if I didn't really want to or feel ready. And even when I started doing improv here, I was encouraged to start teaching before I even finished the levels. They were like, oh, we have to have you come in and teach. And I needed the money at the time and was interested in the challenge, so I did. But I would still sometimes teach things that I was like, God, I wish I was being taught by myself right now because this is so fun and I don't get to do it.
So you've talked and you've made a distinction, Katy, and thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for sharing all of this, because I think we're walking in really tender and really powerful territory here. And I want to honor that. And you started by calling yourself a DIY person. And you've even talked about how the theater you're a part of, this improv theater, right, in a way, it's DIY theater. And then you're faced here with the institution and the theater that the institution and the resources of the institution, what the institution can do. And there's a part of Katy that's saying, I want that. I'm missing out on that. If I phrase it like that for you, the DIY world versus the institution, is this about performing or is it about something else?
I think you're dead on. It is this tension between institution and DIY, between completely depending on myself to do everything. And this other world has felt very blocked off to me. And I think my initial experience trying to get into the theater world as an institution and being rejected, and then moving to New York and trying to get into the comedy world through institution and feeling kind of like I basically felt rejected in that environment too, because I was really funny and I was really good in classes, but it really didn't seem to be about that. And it was just about things that I feel like I couldn't really hack and that didn't come naturally to me. And so I was like, okay, then I'll go and do my own thing. I've struggled to penetrate these institutions that don't make sense to me.
Rejection is a big theme here, right? So I'm gonna remind you what the question is. I feel like we're moving that way, and your question today was, should I give scripted theater a second chance? Which I think is a beautiful question, and it's sort of right in the heart of this world in which you're sort of sitting in between. And I'll just say it, when I hear you talk about the institution, this college that you work at and everything you're seeing, what I feel you see there that really sort of tugs at you is support. And not to say that you don't have that in the improv world, but there's something about the mentors, about the professionalism, about that world that you feel you missed out on. Mm-hmm. And that causes you quite a bit of pain.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, they make it easier. You know, they make it easier to do these things. I feel like I've learned, as much as I'm a DIY person, when it comes to bigger, more complex projects, it's so nice and so helpful to have just like a clear on-ramp and have experienced people help you do these things. Because I keep my scope quite small when I'm just myself, because I don't have the courage to apply to things and to make things bigger. It's too much for me. It's too overwhelming. And when you have institutional support, there's so many more ladders available. There's so many more hands. There's so much more guidance.
So what I'm hearing you say, Katy, is I am a DIY person, but right now I want ladders and hands and guidance and help and support. I don't want to be a DIY person right now.
I don't know, though. I don't know if it's safe for me to reach for ladders and hands and support. Ladders and hands and support have broken and squeezed too hard and been painful in their own ways. And I don't want to just throw all my time, money, energy, and effort into something that I'm just going to feel like a fool at the end of. Like I'm going to feel taken advantage of. Like I was a rube.
So when you go to those shows in the fall, you convince yourself to do it, and you go sit in the theater, and you start to feel all the things that you feel. Can we go back there again? Can you tell me those things? You said you stand up, you want to go, twirl around on stage, you want to scream, you want to bite the seat, what do you want to tell the person sitting next to you?
that like God, this sounds so ridiculous and dramatic, but that like they have no idea what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
That no one around me has any idea what I can do.
That doesn't sound ridiculous to me at all.
It makes me feel like some like washed up actress with like a cigarette holder.
Long.
Very long and a big hat. But I really feel that way, and I feel so robbed of opportunities to really push myself as an artist and as a performer.
That's it, Katy. That's the pain, right? Like, you blame yourself in a way because of my choices. I didn't get that. Because of my mistakes, I didn't get that. They never got to see it. And they never got to accept me, welcome me, validate me, teach me, lead me, hold my hand. All I got was rejection. And now I have to go sit in the audience and watch their shows.
That makes me feel so guilty, though, because really good performers are like, I just love supporting my friends. I'll come to anyone's show. I just love supporting my friends. And I can't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish I could be. I really wish I could.
The thing is, and I appreciate you saying that, but I think it's also really hard to go and support and give when you feel nobody's ever given to you.
But they have. I've had such amazing audiences, and I perform all the time. And when I was young, people told me the craziest nice things. It was mostly people's parents, but they were astute critics and wonderful comments. You know, I have had nicer things said to me than I think so many people in the world have ever had said to them, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to ask you, because it's really different to have all your friends' parents say all the nicest things than to have the institution say the nice things.
You know, my instinct when you just said that was, fuck them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't get to decide if I'm good or not. I don't want to be a student because I want people to say nice things about me. I want to grow as a performer, as an artist, and as a writer because I have it in me, and I know that would be such fertile ground for anyone interested in helping me do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime someone's just been like, a teacher has just been like, well, why don't you just try it like this or just do that? Then I've just like immediately done it, you know? And I've been like, got it. Yay. Okay, now what? You know, like I have a real ambition for learning and for knowledge and craft. And I've satisfied that a lot myself. I have so many writing books, but I'm just like, it would be really cool to take that even more seriously as not just an exercise.
So keep going there for me. Yeah, it would be really cool to take it more seriously, not just as an exercise, but as a...
like a career. That feels so embarrassing also to say.
Why?
I think I don't even allow myself to go there because I'm just like, well, I just wouldn't be accepted in any environment that I would try to get into. So,
I see. We're up against the rejection again. So, you know how I started this conversation by saying I was so sorry for all that rejection that you'd gotten early in your career and how that can really define how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, and even the decisions we make in the future?
Yes.
It's almost like that part of you that was rejected 10 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but we'll say 10. It keeps coming and saying, watch out. It'll hurt again. Don't do it. Don't try. We already know what happens. You know, you said ladders break and hands stop holding you, and don't. And so I feel like we need to let that rejected Katy go. We need to put her to rest so that this Katy can continue to explore the world that she's a part of.
But maybe, I mean, maybe it would be easier to go in a direction where there isn't so much grief, where there isn't so much pain. You know, like some people have such like a pure love of theater, and you know, students that I work with are just like, I just love theater and I just want to support it in any way that I can, on or off stage. And I'm like, well, my baggage is very different. You know? So I'm like, maybe I should just pivot and just learn about English kings and queens.
Oh.
And just become a solitary student of history. Because none of those stories make me like flinch when I think about them, you know?
None of them reject you either. They're all dead.
Exactly. But also, say I applied to like a master's program in the history or English or whatever. If I was rejected on those grounds, it wouldn't feel so violent and personal. Maybe it would. I don't know.
So tell me, because you're putting out this idea and I don't believe you yet, but you're saying you're just willing to say, okay, you know what? Acting didn't work. I'm just going to leave that and go become a historian. Thank you so much.
I've done it before. I was an English major and a studio art minor. No painter has ever stood out more in a painting class than I have.
But listen, when you were doing English and art, in the back of your mind, you were telling yourself, and then I'm going to go do improv. And then I'm going to go back to theater. So you can't say that you've left theater before.
No, it has always been like a part of me. A part of me has always been performing.
I think it's a big and important part of you.
But auditioning, it feels like I'm giving people a chance not to see me. That's what auditioning feels like. It feels like I'm exposing myself to not be seen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I keep coming back to that pain of the rejection from years ago, Katy. It's like time hasn't passed there. Like that pain is still what lives right now. That's what comes up when you go sit in the fall productions. That's what comes up when you go to work and you see all those kids trying to be actors and actresses.
But maybe it just is permanent. You know, like I've talked about that experience of being rejected. I've hashed it out. I even watched a video of myself and my full audition slate of monologues and songs years ago, and it was painful, and I feel like I cried and I thought about it and I toiled over it, but it still really hurts.
Sure.
I don't know if there's a way to make it less. I feel like maybe it's smarter to be a historian.
Mm-hmm. Listen, again, I'm not gonna force you. When you watched that video of your auditions, did you think, oh, that's still me?
No. It felt far away. And it was good. It was a good audition.
And did you think I'm even better now?
Yeah, I'm much better now.
So there's an image I really like, Katie, that I'm going to share with you. It's the Matryoshka dolls, the nesting dolls. And I like this idea that as we age and as we grow and as we learn, it's like we add new dolls. And there are little dolls inside us that we were back then. And that little doll is going to be in there always. And it might come up and say, oh my God, what if we get rejected again? What if it hurts again? What if? And you've built and learned and grown other layers to that doll that can go inside and say, hush, darling. I'll be here. You're not alone.
So you don't think I would just be torturing myself?
I think that for you to just close this door and walk away, I think that's going to be really hard. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's possible to heal that wound? Do you feel it's possible to work with that Katy and say, we can do this? Nobody's rejecting you.
If it were possible, I feel like the healing would have to be in the doing and the doing differently.
Yeah. And do you think that's possible?
To be honest, I don't know. It would depend on what I would need to do to get into the room.
Yeah. I want to go back and ask you about the question that you came with about, should I give scripted theater a second chance? Given the things that we've spoken about, the places we've visited, what is your thinking around that question?
I feel like I have a bit more permission to say yes. Dipping my toe, at least. Seeing how 2025 Katy might handle it.
Can the big outer doll tell the little inner doll, I'm here?
It's a different vibe than the washed up actress that with the long cigarette, and I've been holding on to that one for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a different vibe, not to sit in bitterness.
In the shadows with your big eyeglasses.
Oh, that would be a different approach. Yeah, I could give that a shot.
All she's got to say is, you're not the same one you used to be. I'm here now.
And also, my life isn't over. I'm not an old character actress at the end of a long career, you know?
Really? No, wow.
That's what it feels like. That's how I feel.
Yeah. But I love that you just came upon that realization. You're not. It's not the end.
I'm really not. I was cast as those women since the time I was like 10 years old. But I'm actually not. I'm not actually old. And the door hasn't like closed behind me. Yeah. That's a really needed reframe. I'm not old. My life isn't over.
Tell me what you're feeling right now.
At the end of A Christmas Carol, when Scrooge wakes up And he's like, oh my God, it hasn't all happened. I have time. I have a chance. I feel excited about the reframing. That it's not all too late.
It isn't.
I feel like I've undermined myself in the past by trying to get myself sort of a makeshift version of what I want, or trying to go for the easier to get but not as satisfying version of what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea of being a little ambitious again.
I love the idea of you being ambitious again, Katy. And showing that woman sitting next to you in the theater everything that you can do.
I would like to do that.
Katy, I really look forward to hearing what the future holds for you now that we've discovered you're not an old woman. This has been The Real Question. Our show is funded through our Patreon at patreon.com/realquestionpod. Another way you can support this show is by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Stop by and leave a review. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Real Question Pod. We are always looking for more guests, so go to our website, realquestionpod.com, and submit a question. I'd love to talk to you about it. We love to shout out our BFF tier patrons: Renee Underhill, Christina Igu-Brandon, Jackson Paul Keeley. Thank you, guys. We are a Not Sorry production. Our co-executive producers are Vanessa Zoltan and Ariana Nettleman. We are edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman. Music is by Nick Bowl. And we are distributed by Acast. Support for this show comes from the Fetzer Institute. Thank you, Katy, for joining us today. Thank you for leading us on this voyage of grief and rejection and theater. I'm glad you discovered you're not old. And I hope you've taught us all that we are never, ever too old to follow our dreams. And thanks as always to our wonderful team: Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, AJ Yaramas, Anissa Ahmed, Danny Langley, Courtney Brown, Casper Turkile, and Stephanie Paulsell. This has been The Real Question. Come back next week for another episode, another question, and another conversation.